My name is Anthony for HackersNet, and today we're going to talk about buying a computer. To be clear, we're not building a computer. We are looking at the options for buying a complete computer. This video was recorded in late May 2020, so pricing and options may vary by the time you see this video. If you're looking to build a computer, I would recommend checking out two YouTubers. First, Linus Tech Tips. LTT's main channel shows you how to build various types of computers, while its side channels talk about individual parts of computers. Second is Bitwit. Kyle builds various types of computers, and unlike LTT, he does it usually by himself and will provide alternative options for his builds based upon viewer needs. My brother Chris, you can also check out his channel, got me into computers in the late 1980s with a Commodore 64. Beginning in the early 1990s, I used to build every computer that I owned. Back then, I was in grade school and money was near non-existent, so I would scavenge for parts. I did that until 2003, when I was able to buy a new pre-built computer. After nearly 20 years of building computers, I came to realize that a huge burden had been lifted off of my shoulders. Everyone was asking me to build computers for them, and now I could just buy something based upon their needs. That is something that I still do today. I go with people to stores to act as a salesman to help them decide on a computer. You wouldn't believe how many times I've gone into a store, basically started talking up a computer, have a salesperson walk up to me and go, "Do you work here?" I'd be like, "No, I don't work here. I'm selling the computer though. I want your commission." They don't get commission. It's a fun joke. Anyway, moving on. With that building and buying experience, I've come up with a system of computer needs to decide what is right for each person. I mean, obviously it doesn't work in every case, but it's done pretty well so far. I do update my system accordingly with technology. Keep in mind that everything that I'm going to show you are Windows computers and do not have monitors included. Well, unless they're a laptop. Computers running Mac OS cost much more, while those running Linux cost less. So first is the entry-level computer. At this level, technically, a decent smartphone will meet most needs. These needs are surfing the web, checking email, and watching streaming videos. What takes you from just using a smartphone to a computer may be the need to use certain word processing programs, multitasking, and/or building a website. On the other side of the coin, you should be concerned about the lack of hard drive space. Recently, I was asked to repair a computer, and when I got to the point of updating Windows, the computer had run out of hard drive space. Because it uses flash memory, which is essentially an internal thumb drive, I had to get an additional thumb drive that now has to remain in the USB port so that they can have space for personal folders and additional programs. If you don't want one of those larger ones, you can actually get a low-profile thumb drive. You just leave it in the USB port. It maybe sticks out like this much at most, and just keep it in there. So I matched that 64 gig with another 64 gig, and it's used for word processing, so it's perfect. So the computer I have here is a Lenovo, but there's also Asus and HP laptops with similar specifications at the entry level. And they can either have AMD or Intel CPUs with different GPU configurations. Now, I say it's about 1 gig of GPU, but it's integrated, which means that it is in combination with the CPU and uses the processing power, but also the memory or the RAM. So, like, these entry-level computers are 4 gigabytes of RAM, so you're not going to be able to do very much of anything other than see pretty pictures. And yes, you could probably load some very basic gaming, but it's going to chug. Now, as I mentioned before, the hard drive space is a problem. In some of these, it's 64 gigs of flash memory. Some might be bigger, usually not smaller, not anymore anyway. But they can be called netbooks, notebooks, laptops. They're pretty much all the same thing. But if you need something portable and you're tired of using your phone, this is probably the cheapest thing to get to. It's roughly $300, more or less, again, based on part of the hard drive space. And again, you need to make a decision. Is this what I need, or can I just continue using my phone with a Bluetooth keyboard? So then the second is the low-level computer. At this level, you can do all of the aforementioned at the entry level, plus play some less demanding games like Overwatch and Minecraft, but on the lowest graphical settings. Now, hard drive space becomes a concern if there's a lot of games installed, or if you are like my aunt the mass collection of memes, music, and videos. You would not believe how many computers I had to clear. Okay, it's just, and she's one of the people I most often have to get computers for. So it can run more than the word processing, as I said, games, and you can do some basic graphical editing, like that. If you're not worried about overall quality, it's decent. I actually had one of these computers when I was starting college. It met my needs. In this case, they typically roughly 1 to 2 gigabytes of graphical power, its GPU, but it's integrated again with the RAM. And in these cases, they're now typically seeing about 8 gig of RAM. So there's a little bit more power can be siphoned off for the graphical processing. That's why you're able to play the games in the first place. The other problem I have, though, is the hard drive also might be too small. At 256 gigs, which seems to be about the standard right now for these computers, if you're playing a lot of games, you're going to need more space. Now, as you see in this picture here, it's a Dell Inspiron desktop, which runs about $500. And for basic needs and a little bit of gaming, they're perfectly acceptable. Third is the mid-level gaming computer. In fact, I am producing this video on a slightly upgraded one. The biggest selling point is the dedicated graphics. Instead of pulling memory from the RAM to help process graphics like the entry and low-level computers, this one has a guaranteed minimum of 6 gigs of processing power for the graphics. However, if I need, I can pull another 10 gigs of graphical memory from my RAM. So even though it says dedicated, there's still some shared components, which is great. So as a mid-level gaming system, it has the 6 gig GPU, which is dedicated. It has 16 gigs of RAM, although I upgraded to 32. It has a 1 terabyte hard drive, and in the case of the one shown here, which is a Dell G5, it actually has a 256 gig SSD, which is a solid state drive, which is more or less a flash drive, but they're a lot faster, a lot better, a lot sturdier. But anyway, the computer runs about $1,200, and as I mentioned, I did upgrade mine some, so the RAM's better. I upgraded the hard drive space, but after about $1,500, I was pretty satisfied with the results. And you can actually see on this channel a review of the computer I'm currently using, so go check that out. So without going crazy, the highest level of computer I have listed can play games at their high settings with minimal hangups and can edit 4K video without a sweat. The computer that I have selected here is a little lower on the specifications than I would prefer, thus I would recommend upgrades to get where it needs to be for the greatest level of performance. So what I have here is an Asus Republic of Gamers computer, and ROG is actually an up-and-coming. I really like what they've been putting out. It comes with 6 gigs of dedicated GPU memory. I would recommend 8 gigs. It says it comes with 16 gigs of RAM. I would recommend 32. And then a 512 gigabyte hard drive and a 512 gigabyte solid state drive. I would recommend at least upgrading the hard drive, or in my case, I bought a backup or external, so definitely store videos on the external if you're doing video editing. And that computer runs about $1,300, but if you do the upgrades, it's going to cost more. I'm just going to put that out there. Regular hard drive space, even externals, are actually cheap right now. I got the 2 terabyte I have hooked up to this one for $100, and then I have the upgraded RAM was another $100. So it's not too expensive right now to upgrade. You may have noticed that I have not mentioned processing power while talking about these desktops. That is primarily because there are 2 main competitors, Intel and AMD. Intel has the i3, i5, i7, and the i9, while AMD has multiple levels of Ryzen. The i3 and Ryzen 3 are the slowest, with the i9 and Ryzen 9 being the fastest. You will need to use your best judgment when comparing different machines. If it's a matter of picking an i3 processor and an i5 processor for a couple bucks more, I would definitely go i5. Same thing with the Ryzens. Now, I think Intel is the best for processing power, but if you ask Kyle at Bitwit or Linus at LTT, they will probably say Ryzen, because more recent videos have just been plugging Ryzen all day, and for something like since 2003, I have been using purely Intel processors. Now, obviously, you can go crazy and build a monster of a computer, You can check out LTT to see them build computers that cost upwards and beyond 10 grand. Now, I'm not shilling for Best Buy. However, as I said, my memory, my hard drive, and my monitor upgrades did come from them for this computer. Now, on the topic of monitors, you can get a decent 24-inch 1080p monitor for approximately $200. And if you want the best gaming experience, go 4K for approximately double the price. So a 24-inch 4K would probably run you about $400. Now, with that said, I would encourage you to do your own research. But if you have questions, feel free to ask in the comments. Thanks for watching, and please remember to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching this video. We would also like to thank our contributors and patrons for supporting this video. If you wish to add to the discussion, post a comment below. Please remember to like, subscribe, and check out our other videos. Thank you for checking out our content. Before you leave, please remember to click like and then subscribe. If you want to receive notifications, do not forget to enable them by clicking on the bell. Then afterwards, check out our social media at HaslageNet and our website at haslage.net.